that statement and say that fucking MJ wouldn't have won when this shit is soft as hell now?
You're not going 6
You
for
can't
6.
fucking, yes he is.
Not going 6 for 6.
If
right?
you can't touch Michael Jordan, who's stopping him?
Off about 25 points, we come back and win the game. And we're walking off the floor and Tex look at me and says, there's no I in team. I say Tex is not. It's not an I in team.
Michael Jordan to us right now, because he's undefeated in championship, it's going to be hard to knock him off being the greatest basketball player ever. Nick is trying to make a point of who plays basketball better.
Yeah, so latest pod with Rich Paul, Max Kellerman said that if MJ played today, he would average a 40-point triple-double. For a little bit of context, Wilt is the only player ever to average 40 in a season, and only 3 players ever have averaged it.
There's a media.
No, I agree with Max. I think, you know, the cream always rises to the top. Like, I do think MJ would probably average about 40 in this era. Okay, Ocho. He was so dynamic. He was fast. He was quick. He was explosive.
Michael Jordan in today's game would average a 40-point triple-double, Rich.
Now you're out of your mind.
I'll explain. Michael Jordan's usage rate was way ahead of everyone else's in his day. And today, the usage rate is even higher for the primary guy.
A smear campaign out there for Michael Jordan, and there's all these people that are like taking these clips and saying how trash basketball was in the 90s, as if we didn't fucking watch it.
Yeah.
You thought it was trash?
No.
MJ does whatever he wants.
Michael Jordan came out of the fire that nearly changed his career, looking like a completely different player, trading some of his flashy scoring style for a colder and more intimidating approach on the court. Players who competed against him during that period have described a noticeable change in his intensity, with Jordan carrying a quiet anger that seemed to turn every possession into a personal challenge. The explosiveness was still there, but now it was paired with an edge that made every matchup feel like a battle. Instead of simply trying to entertain or overwhelm defenders with his scoring ability, Jordan appeared determined to make opponents feel his presence from the opening possession to the final whistle. That relentless mentality became one of the defining characteristics of his game and helped shape the version of Jordan that would become so dominant. The fire may have nearly interrupted his career, but the player who emerged from that experience carried a different level of focus, aggression, and determination. And that transformation is a major reason why his approach to competition became so feared, especially imagining how that version of Jordan would attack today's NBA.
You believe you can get 40 a night?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's no question about it.
40 a night,
yeah,
40.
Yeah.
How you gonna get 40? If you go to
I'm not here to break it down and decipher it. I'm telling you. Mike was a motherfucker though, both times. Because he was still talking that shit.
Yeah, still talking
that shit. He was still skilled. It was just helpful. I had to guard that motherfucker. Gave us 40. Got like 38 of that shit too.
Michael Jordan played in today's NBA, he would average 40 points a game. He would average 40 points a game. We got guys averaging 33 now. Michael Jordan never shot threes because no one would average.
Michael Jordan, he passed all those tests for me. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever. And I disagree with Nick because I saw it and the ability of what he could do when everything was on the line.
In basketball.
I'm a Jordan guy.
The comparison takes on a completely different meaning when you consider what happens when an opponent refuses to accept anything short of complete dominance. That mentality is at the heart of the debate surrounding two different generations of basketball, and Michael Jordan once made that distinction himself when he said, "But I'm going to tell you the difference between Michael Jordan era and LeBron era." The statement immediately sets up a contrast between the competitive environment Jordan experienced and the era associated with LeBron James, raising the question of what truly separated the two periods beyond statistics, championships, or individual talent.
He's a two-way player. He's going to get at least 6 to 12 points off defense now. The way these boys shooting, it's a faster pace. He ain't necessarily probably gonna shoot a lot more threes. I mean, he'll probably take a couple more, but for the most.
How many points do you think Jordan could average in today's NBA?
What's the most he ever averaged? 37?
37-1.
Practice came up in the era where everybody hated each other. They did not f with each other. There was no homeboys in the off season. There was no let's go to the clubs in the summer and go holler with some chicks.
For Michael Jordan's teammates during the 1990s, some practices could feel just as demanding as the biggest playoff moments. Jordan did not seem interested in treating practice like a routine obligation. He attacked those sessions with the same competitive fire he brought to the NBA Finals. Teammates could find themselves facing him as if they were opponents, because Jordan pushed every drill with an intensity designed to force the people around him to raise their level immediately. There was little room to coast when Jordan was on the floor, and players who struggled to match his pace could quickly find themselves falling behind. That relentless approach was part of what made playing alongside him so demanding, but it also created an environment where everyone was constantly being challenged to improve. For Jordan, practice was not simply preparation for competition. It was another opportunity to compete, test the people around him, and demand the highest level of performance possible.
Well, shit, he started making up the triangle as he was doing that. Set it right here. Now, watch out. Whatever, hope. Man, yo, what? That motherfucker took that shit. He came out one time, shot that motherfucker so high, I jumped, and I was just
Competitive.
The triangle offense, and rightfully so, it put everybody in position. You need that when you have an all-time great player. It creates a level of discipline and balance on the floor. So shout to Tex Winter and Phil Jackson for instituting that.
When LeBron passes up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in points, and he will this year, will that make him the greatest player ever? Yeah. An interesting question. I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. That's what I think. But
now, the way that guy is used nowadays is his primary ball handler, right? They take what used to be a 2-guard and they make him or even a 3, and they make him the point guard, basically. MJ spent 1 year of his career as a point guard. He averaged 32, 8, and 8.
They wasn't even in no triangle.
Michael Jordan's competitive fire did not end when the game clock reached 0. It followed him into his famous gambling sessions and into the hours he spent studying film, where he searched for patterns and tendencies that could give him an advantage. Jordan approached opponents almost like a chess player studying the board, looking for even the smallest weakness he could eventually attack. Every detail mattered because he wanted to understand how a player reacted, where they were vulnerable, and what he could do to take control of the matchup. That mentality stands in sharp contrast to the way modern NBA stars often approach the regular season, with carefully managed minutes and increasing emphasis on rest and load management. Jordan's philosophy was almost the opposite. To him, treating certain games as less important was difficult to accept, because every night presented another chance to compete and prove himself. Whether it was a playoff battle or an ordinary regular season matchup, he brought the same expectation that he had to win. That relentless approach helped create the reputation of a player who never seemed willing to give an opponent an easy night, regardless of the circumstances.
The Pacers, the Knicks, the defense was tougher. And keep in mind, Michael Jordan, when he came into the league, took a bunch of coke-infested Bulls that were bums and lost to the Boston Celtics, who at the time had 5 Hall of...
Michael Jordan.
On behalf of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, that he would average 40 a night. If we see guys averaging 30.
Right.
And 35, with all due respect, that don't have the arsenal that he has offensively.
The Pistons.
That's tough, man. I don't care.
Back in the day, they wasn't doing that.
Because I keep telling y'all, you didn't have to do it. With his team, Scottie Pippen, you had Ron Harper, and them dudes played defense, bro.
Wait,
and
so
they
you
were
telling
big
me
guards. These are 6'6".
Michael Jordan treated losing as something deeply personal, and whenever an opponent got the better of him, his response was rarely to simply move on to the next possession. He wanted to answer immediately and decisively. Defenders known for playing with physical strength could find themselves exhausted trying to stay with Jordan, because he continued attacking even when the outcome of the game was already becoming obvious. The same mentality showed up on defense as well. Players who depended on isolation scoring had to deal with Jordan competing just as aggressively on the other end, refusing to give them comfortable looks or easy opportunities. He was not satisfied with beating someone offensively and then relaxing defensively. He wanted control of the entire matchup. And Jordan understood the psychological side of competition too. He wanted opponents to feel the pressure building, and when their confidence finally started to disappear, the moment often became part of the spectacle. That was the frightening part of playing against him. The game could be slipping away, and Jordan would still be pushing as if he had something left to prove. For him, dominance was not complete until the opponent knew they had been beaten.
They don't give a shit. That is the mentality of the NBA player today. You didn't have that mentality back when Michael Jordan played. When Michael Jordan played, everyone cared to win the damn game.
He was so relentless in getting to the basket. Who gonna be able to stay in front of him?
Nobody.
Nobody gonna stay in front of him.
I agree with Max too. And you have to think, during Jordan's era, they played a little bit more defense, Joe.
Michael Jordan stopped playing the game. He stopped having to facilitate. He didn't have to do all those things. He just finished the game. He finished it. He was, I think, the game's greatest finisher because he had no weakness in his...
Michael Jordan approached every possession with an urgency that made even ordinary moments feel critical, bringing a level of intensity that would challenge almost any modern superstar. That same mindset carried into practice, where role players and established stars could find themselves pushed through demanding sessions with little room for complacency. Nothing was treated as meaningless preparation because Jordan expected excellence before the games even began. That mentality also changed the atmosphere of regular season basketball, turning matchups that might normally feel routine into serious tests of focus, toughness, and competitive discipline. His constant pressure forced opponents to make a choice: raise their level and compete with the same determination, or risk being overwhelmed as the game continued. Jordan's standard was not simply about scoring more points or winning individual possessions. It was about creating an environment where everyone had to respond to his intensity, because falling behind mentally could be just as damaging as falling behind on a scoreboard.
Average 36. So you figure Jordan could average 40 with no problem.
Man, Shannon, like, it's, when I talk about him, it's different, man.
God disguised as Michael. You don't think Michael Jordan could have took that same Cavs team to the fucking finals? As whack as the Eastern Conference was? Get the fuck out of here.
Hell yeah, he would have took him to the finals, Joe.
Physical defeated in the finals.
Yes.
So you guys are talking about when he wins 6, because you said everybody team up, right?
Ultimately,
when he goes 6 for 6 in the finals
if he
again,
gets there, he's going to win every time.
That's what Ray said.
If he gets there, he's going to win every time.
The physical nature of 1990s basketball created a completely different challenge for players, with hand-checking and hard interior defense making every trip into the paint feel like a battle. Defenders had more freedom to make contact while contesting shots, so offensive players often had to absorb significant hits and still find a way to finish at the rim. Michael Jordan seemed perfectly suited for that environment because he treated physical defense as another opportunity to prove his toughness and determination. Instead of allowing contact to disrupt his rhythm, he used the challenge to push himself even harder. The modern NBA, with a more open offensive environment and different defensive rules, presents a very different landscape. Along with those changes has come a greater emphasis on managing workloads, limiting minutes, and giving stars additional rest throughout the long season. Jordan's approach was almost the complete opposite. Playing was the expectation, and sitting out was not something he viewed as part of his normal routine. During an 82-game season, he approached each night as another obligation to compete, creating a mindset that feels very different from today's approach to preserving players for the postseason.
Great for the league when he came back, and I thought that he wanted to see where he aligned with some of these younger stars. And I thought it was just great overall for the overall.
The game, especially in the fourth quarter, we refer to him as a three-dimensional player. He's either going to score, he's going to get fouled, or he was going to go to the free throw line and make the 2 free throws. And not many players can do that in the last 4 minutes of a game. Jordan,
the 3-ball. MJ, 3 times in his career, shot at least 3 threes a game. every time he shot at least 3 threes a game, meaning he had more reps doing it, he shot no less than 37%.
Travel during that era added another challenge that players had to deal with exhausting flights, fewer advanced recovery resources, and a demanding schedule that often meant competing while tired or dealing with minor injuries. Situations that might lead to a rest day in today's NBA were often simply part of the job back then. Players who lived through that period have emphasized how much physical and mental toughness it took to consistently handle those conditions, and Michael Jordan represented that mentality at an extreme level. He built his reputation around competing through the grind rather than looking for ways around it. That is what makes the idea of Jordan playing in today's league so fascinating. He would still bring the hardened competitive mindset developed during that era, but he would also have access to modern recovery techniques and a rule environment that could create even more opportunities for his offensive game. The combination could make for a fascinating contrast with the current NBA, where player health, entertainment, scheduling, and star treatment play a much larger role in how the league operates. Jordan's approach was built around winning first, and that uncompromising mentality would stand out even more in a modern environment where managing the physical demands of an entire season has become a major part of the game.
How you move the culture. Impact. That's a key word. That's a key ingredient to the gumbo recipe. Impact. A lot of those other players lacked in other areas where Michael Jordan in totality has it all.
And he added the 3-ball in his career. You watch him against the Blazers knock down 3. That wasn't his specialty.
Right.
But it wasn't like he was a liability shooting the basketball. Michael Jordan would average whatever he wanted to average.
Man.
I mean, you witnessed it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Certainly the top 5 of all time. But playing against him and MJ, I think, for me, it's MJ all day long, only because how I played against him, and MJ just had
Michael Jordan changed what teams could expect from the guard position while playing through a level of defensive contact that the modern NBA has largely reduced. If Jordan were placed into today's game, the absence of the physical restrictions that shaped his era would not necessarily make things more difficult for him. It could actually give him additional room to attack, especially within the spacing and driving lanes created by modern offensive systems. His footwork, balance, timing, and ability to control his body were developed while defenders were allowed to make far more contact, meaning those skills were forged under conditions that demanded precision. Now imagine bringing that same preparation and competitive intensity into an NBA built around pace, spacing, and offensive freedom. Modern defenses would have to deal with a player whose habits were developed through a much more physically demanding environment, while Jordan would suddenly have fewer obstacles between himself and the basket. He would essentially be taking the mentality and skills built through a tougher school of basketball and placing them into a league with a different set of demands. The schedule, rules, and player management culture may have changed, but Jordan's expectation to compete at maximum intensity would remain the same. That contrast is what makes the hypothetical so intriguing. A player shaped by the grind of the past, entering a modern NBA where the physical barriers are lower, and the game gives elite offensive guards more freedom to operate.
Hell no. Tell me why not. Hell no. Scottie Pippen can guard KD. I ain't saying he can stop him, but Scottie Pippen can guard KD.
But that's how
Are you
dangerous
serious
he
right now?
was. It wasn't just Kevin Durant.
Who's stopping Michael Jordan?
I will put
do that to us sometimes. Like pro players, it felt sometimes like, he was toying with me like I toyed with high school kids back in the day.
I think the word legend is thrown around too much in sports. Almost every glowing adjective applies to Michael Jordan. But you know who's legendary? Satchel Paige is legendary. Sure. Babe Ruth is legendary because so many of the stories are apocryphal.
Michael Jordan's skill set was built around fundamentals that do not depend on a specific era, especially his footwork, balance, positioning, and ability to manipulate defenders. He could create space without relying entirely on speed or athleticism, using changes of direction, timing, and deception to consistently get himself into scoring positions against elite competition. His defensive instincts and polished handle would also give him the tools to operate in today's faster environment, while his body control would help him absorb contact and still finish plays around the basket.
Modern defenses would face a difficult problem trying to contain someone capable of scoring from multiple areas of the floor, because taking away one option could simply open another. Protecting the rim would not solve the problem if Jordan could punish defenses from the mid-range, attack closeouts, create his own shot, or use his footwork to find another angle. His ability to adjust under pressure was already demonstrated throughout his career in high-stakes situations where the moment seemed to bring out another level of focus. Add that mentality to today's spacing, pace, and offensive freedom, and there is a strong argument that Jordan's game would translate regardless of the era or the amount of attention surrounding him.
Bowing down to nobody. They're not just going to sit around and let you shoot every shot.
I mean, they do it for Luka and Harden.
No, they don't.
They did it for Harden. But,
No,
okay,
they don't.
are you
That's
telling
not-
me that Luka or Harden would average more points than MJ?
What I'm telling
They're in the
you
mid-30s.
I take LeBron at his best, and I take Michael Jordan at his best. I would want Michael Jordan every day and twice on Sunday. Over LeBron James. And that is the only person that I would want over LeBron.
Who would I rather have on my team?
Be careful.
Michael Jordan.
Thank you.
Michael Jordan.
Game over. Case closed.
And it's,
Next question.
It has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with shoes. It has nothing to do with shoes.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's conditioning was a major part of what made him so difficult to handle late in games and deep in the playoff series, because his effectiveness did not seem to disappear as the minutes piled up. That kind of endurance creates an interesting contrast with today's managed workloads, where players sometimes need time to regain their rhythm after sitting out for extended stretches. But Jordan's greatness was never based on athleticism alone. His game was built through years of repetition, sharpening fundamentals until his footwork, balance, timing, and decision-making became second nature. In transition, his court vision and ability to finish could turn a simple opportunity into points almost instantly, while in the half-court, he could slow everything down, patiently read the defense, and manufacture a quality shot from an isolation matchup. He could control the offense, defend across different positions, and score from virtually every area of the floor, forcing defenses into difficult choices that switching alone could not completely fix. Give him one defender and he could attack the matchup. Send help and he could find another opening. That versatility is what made preparing for him such a nightmare. Players who actually competed against Jordan rarely reduced his greatness to jumping ability or speed. They talked about how complete his overall game was. And that is the important distinction. Athletic advantages can change from one generation to another, but a complete skill set built on technique, intelligence, conditioning, and competitive control does not suddenly become outdated just because the league evolves.
Average 45?
No, all I'm saying is he would shoot a lot of free throws compared to the way the game's officiated then versus now. This guy would live at the free throw line.
And that's probably valid. If they had peaked in the 80s against Birds, Celtics, and Magic's Lakers, and even Dr. J and Moses Malone with the 76ers, they might not have won 6. But he was every bit as good as
Michael Jordan had a way of turning defensive priorities against the teams trying to stop him. When opponents focused on protecting the rim or limiting outside shooting threats, Jordan could attack the openings those choices created and punish them with his mid-range game. His ability to consistently get to the free throw line made aggressive defensive coverage even more dangerous, because fouling him often simply turned pressure into dependable points. Modern defenses would face a similar dilemma against that skill set. Collapse too heavily toward the paint, and Jordan could create space for his preferred pull-up and mid-range shots. Extend the defense too far toward the perimeter, and he could attack the lane before help arrived. Those options were not based on one specific rule set, but on techniques Jordan developed through years of facing elite competition. His footwork, timing, shot creation, and ability to recognize defensive positioning gave him multiple ways to punish a defense even when the floor was spaced differently. During the stretch being referenced, Sergei Pavlovich reportedly averaged 34 points, which is described as 11 points higher than the modern standard. That comparison is presented as another way of emphasizing just how extraordinary the scoring production being discussed would be.
I'm still playing at his age. It's LeBron. Peak is Jordan. And I don't see where LeBron's going to elevate his peak over Jordan. When we talk about greatest, guys, I don't think we just mean add up all the win shares by the end of the career.
And that's the thing, though, Uncle Joe. Even if they don't respect it, we talk about skill set, what he's able to do, right? What he's able to do. Jordan is one of the few players. I mean, there are few players that can play in any goddamn era and dominate, especially this era. Today.
But I got to give you the
Modern players.
Michael Jordan's offensive game was built on a wide range of counters, changes of pace, and different ways to finish, rather than relying on flashy moves designed for highlights. His fadeaway gave him a dependable option when longer defenders tried to contest his shot, while his up and under moves and mid-range pull-ups kept defenders constantly guessing about what was coming next. Today's isolation scores often create space with step-backs, deep threes, and perimeter moves, but Jordan developed his own arsenal in a much more physical environment where hand-checking and tight defensive coverage were legal parts of the game. That experience forced him to become extremely precise with his footwork, balance, timing, and shot creation. Instead of needing large amounts of open space to generate offense, he learned how to manufacture separation even when defenders were allowed to stay attached to him. Put that refined skill set into the modern NBA, where offensive players generally receive more room to operate and face fewer forms of defensive contact, and his scoring package could become even more difficult to contain. The same counters that helped him beat physical defenders in the 1990s would suddenly have additional space to develop, potentially making his already versatile offensive attack even more efficient in today's league.
You know, LeBron's about 6'8", Jordan's about 6'6", and they've both been the most dominant players in their era. But when I look at it, and I look at it from the detail as a player, as an ex-player, they're two totally different players.
Because you know it. You just know it. You know if you assert yourself, you can embarrass whoever you're playing against. And Michael could get into a mode at times where you really were at his mercy. And
Michael Jeffrey Jordan was a basketball assassin. The other guy, LeBron James, is a really nice man. That's what he is. He's a really nice man who's really gifted. That's it. That just sums it up.
The end result
One
of
guy.
fame.
No, the end result.
Michael Jordan played.
Today's scores have added plenty of new options to the isolation game, using Euro steps, sidestep jumpers, and shots from well beyond the three-point line to create advantages. Those developments show how much offensive basketball has changed, but Jordan's game was built around a different combination of skills, particularly his ability to dominate the mid-range while remaining effective defensively. When help defenders committed too heavily towards him, Jordan could recognize the adjustment and make the pass to an open teammate instead of forcing a difficult shot. That created a constant problem for defenses because stopping one part of his game could immediately open another opportunity. Give him too much attention and someone else could benefit. Stay home on shooters and Jordan could attack the matchup himself. That kind of decision-making made his offense difficult to shut down because the defense was always being forced to choose between competing threats. And while the modern NBA has placed enormous value on three-point shooting and spacing, playoff basketball can still become much more congested when defenses tighten and open perimeter attempts become harder to find. In those moments, having a player capable of creating a quality mid-range shot without needing a perfect setup remains extremely valuable. That is one reason Jordan's offensive skill set continues to generate so much debate when people imagine his game being placed into today's NBA.